Sunshine daisies, butter mellow, turn the stupid fat rat yellow. Hello!
Hi.
I'm Vaughn.
I'm Scott.
We're responsible for all of the videos that you see on this channel.
And it happens that we're both very big Harry Potter fans. September 1st is Back to Hogwarts Day.
And we had this idea of a sorting hat croquembouche. You pick the cream puff off the tower, and when you bite into it, you're sorted into your Hogwarts house.
To bring this to life, we knew there was only one person for the job. Pastry chef, recipe developer, cookbook author,
Fellow Harry Potter fan,
Erin Jeanne McDowell.
well, why don't we go disapparate into her dungeon and see how she makes it?
These are chocolate.
Welcome to my kitchen. When I first got asked to make a sorting hat croquembouche, I couldn't even believe it. A croquembouche is an incredible tower of beautiful cream puffs and tons of beautiful spun caramel sugar. It is very popular at holidays and also at weddings in France. And it all starts with the help of this guy.
What is that?
Oh, sorry, I was just like, I'm done now. This is a croquembouche mold. And you can make a croquembouche without a mold, or you can kind of make a conical shape yourself just using parchment paper. As guests pull the cream puffs off of the tower and take a bite and see what color is inside their cream puff, they're sorted into their houses in the most delicious way possible. I'm not gonna lie, I'm rigging this so that I get Gryffindor. I think Brimley is Hufflepuff. First thing first with our croquembouche, we want to make our custard filling. And we're making a custard filling that is sometimes known as diplomat cream. It's a combination of creamy, custardy pastry cream with whipped cream folded in. It's just like a combination of rich and light simultaneously. It's delicious. Now my whole kitchen smells really good. And you can also put this whole bean right into it. It will strain out later. So we're gonna put this on the stove just to come to a simmer while we get the rest of our ingredients ready. Always add starch and the sugar together because the granules of the sugar help to break up the starch and disperse it. This is especially important for something like cornstarch that loves to clump up and separate eggs. When you're, full of cream puffs, you can go a little virtuous and have an egg white omelet the next day. Our milk has just come to a simmer. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my eggs in here and whisk that together. I'm gonna pour this hot liquid into here, about 1/4 to 1/3 of it. No need to be super precise. And you wanna start mixing it right away because we want those egg yolks to slowly warm up. This is called tempering. We're just gonna return it to the pot while whisking the whole time. And we're gonna go to the stove and cook this until it's nice and thick. Just want to be whisking it constantly, and you want to use a low heat rather than a high heat because what we're trying to do is slowly thicken this mixture. We're trying to slowly coagulate. Nice and creamy. No comeback, just proud. It's firming up quicker and quicker. It's starting to hold the lines from the whisk. And then I switch. We're trying to bring it to first boil, which definitely sounds like a Harry Potter, like when you're making potions. What we're trying to go for is a big bubble coming out of the center rather than like little bubbles forming on the sides. Here they come, ooh. We wanna go ahead and strain this, but first we wanna add in this butter. This butter helps to start cool it down a little bit, but it also just gives it this really yummy, buttery mouthfeel. You can strain it onto something flat, like a baking sheet, and that way it's in a nice, thin, even layer, and it's gonna cool much quicker. I find this very satisfying. And into the fridge, this is going to go until it's nice and cool. So the next important element for our croquembouche are, of course, the cream puffs. That is made from a famous but very simple to make dough called pâte à choux. So I've got my milk here. I'm using whole milk. You could substitute another milk, but this is sort of a time where I would recommend using whole if you can. A decent amount of butter here. So we're gonna take this over to the stove along with our flour because we'll need it once we're over there. They're baked at a very high temperature. When they hit the heat of the oven, they sort of create a little puff of steam, and that's what makes them hollow in the center. You can make a lot of things with it. You can make eclairs, crullers, churros. Eventually, it kind of comes into one single mass, much easier. You're looking for the flour to have gelatinized. A skin forms at the bottom of the pot. That sounds gross, but it's sort of like an all-over coating where the starch is set on the bottom of the pot. And the first thing we want to do is just mix it to sort of start helping it cool down. And you see, magic is already happening. We're gonna keep mixing it until basically that steam dies down. Then we know it's okay to start adding the eggs. See, I got shell in already. This is why you don't add it right into the mixer. We're just gonna add the eggs one at a time. We're just ensuring that this mixture is more homogeneous from the start. Everyone has different kinds of wands. This is one kind of wand. This is my wand, I think. When you dip it in, see, forms this like V shape when it drips down. And when pâte à choux is too thick, it's not gonna puff up as nice in the oven, and it's also gonna be more difficult to pipe it into a nice even round. So I'm gonna cut an opening in the bag for a large round tip. If you don't have a large round tip, you can absolutely do this by just cutting a hole in the bag that is about a ½ inch wide. As I spoon the pâte à choux in, I can actually even just grab it with my hand and scrape the spatula off. Twist the bag a few times, so I've got a nice spot to grip it. You never want to fill a pastry bag much more than 3/4 the way full, and usually for me it's around halfway full. The more full it is, the harder it is for the strength of your hand to pipe evenly and uniformly. So I'll pipe one row, and then the next row I'll just offset it a little bit. That way I can fit as many of these on here as possible. Every time you finish piping, you just kind of stop applying pressure, and a flick of the wrist allows it to sort of break off. Indeed, a swish and flick. So the swish is this part. Ooh. Swish and flick. And every time you refill a pastry bag, you want to squeeze out that little bit that's still left in the tip, because behind it is a big air pocket. See, I heard it when it hits that clunk sound. You'll notice that a couple of mine do have little nubs at the top that we want to push down. I like to use a little bit of water. So we're gonna bake these at 400 degrees. I like to rotate the pans in between baking, and they should be really nice and golden brown and crisp. And with a little TV magic, we won't have to wait very long. So I want these to cool completely, but before I let them cool, it's important to poke a hole in them with just a paring knife or a skewer. That allows some of the steam to escape so that they stay crisp and they don't risk going soggy. You're also making a hole for when you're piping your cream in later. I don't know, this is pretty fun. So I'm just gonna set these aside and get the rest of my cream ready. You're gonna see this looks really thick, and that's because it is, but that's why we're gonna lighten it up with a little bit of whipped cream. And we're just gonna whip this to medium peaks. Yeah, perfect. So we need to add a little bit of this to lighten this up so that the rest of the whipped cream folds in easier. And just go to town on this for a second, because you really want that to combine. Now I'm gonna add the remaining whipped cream in a couple additions. It's firm enough to sort of hold its shape and structure, but it's also sort of billowy and soft, and it's very creamy. So now that it's all combined, I'm just gonna dollop a little bit into each of these 4 bowls. You can really go as vibrant as you want with this, but you don't need very much to have a nice look. A little really goes a long way, so you also don't want to make it so vibrant that guests aren't excited about their green cream puff, for example. Just gonna start grabbing one color at a time and finding the little hole and putting the tip of my pastry bag right into it and just filling it until I see it come up to the edge of the hole. It doesn't take that much, but you can also feel it in your hand. This cream puff feels heavier now than it did before. I'm pretty sure that all cream puffs dream about being a croquembouche when they grow up. It's like getting your Hogwarts owl. As we learn from Harry Potter, it's very important to bring in friends to help you in all of your adventures. So I'm gonna get a little help filling all of these because we have so many. Come on in, guys.
Take off my invisibility cloak. All right.
Thanks for your help, everybody. To the next thing, the final element before we can build the caramel. At this point, what I'm trying to do is encourage the sugar to dissolve. Once this shows any signs of bubbling, no more stirring. And I also have a little glass of water, and I'm gonna use that once I stop stirring to wash any of the sugar off the edges. So right now it's bubbling on this side, but not on this side. We don't want to stir anymore, but we can occasionally swirl the pot like this. And the most important thing to remember is caramel is weirdly like steak, carry over cooking. It continues cooking for quite a while. It's really important to keep an eye on it because see, it's starting to get brown. I like where it is there. You see the color on the top, and when I tilt it, it's still nice and amber. So I'm just gonna dip it. Ooh. But I don't wanna keep it in there so long that the caramel hardens too much because we need it to be fluid to use it for this next bit. Cool. Let's take it over and build our croquembouche. I have my mold on top of a cardboard cake circle that's about 2.5 inches wider because I'm going to make the rim of the hat first. You can also do this with your hand, but this is very, very hot syrup. So I like to enlist the help of tongs, and I'm just gonna start at the edge, and you just need to lightly dip them. Don't panic, but move quickly. So now that it's a little bit thicker and cooler, I'm gonna do these last ones with my hands because I'll be able to go a little bit quicker. I think I need to warm up my caramel before I continue, and then we'll do the next row. And now that we're building around the side, we're gonna switch them so that they're facing out. And that just keeps the most golden, rounded part of the cream puff on the outside. What did we just do? There's still one more magical element, which is to use the remaining caramel to make some spun sugar, which is really just gonna like take this to a whole nother magical level. I need to let the sugar cool a little bit. It's still pretty hot. And while it's cooling, I'm just gonna grab my tools and I'm gonna line the floor with some newspaper just to catch any of the drips that fall. I got 2 wooden spoons with pretty long handles because your spun sugar is going to be held on those. And I also have this crazy thing, which is a whisk that I've cut with a wire cutter to no longer have the rounded part. If you don't have this, you're just gonna use a large fork. Basically, I'm just gonna hold this and I'm just gonna whisk it across the wooden spoons. You want to handle this as little as possible because any heat, including from the heat of your hands, is going to affect it. That would be my dream job, really. Pastry chef at Honeyduke's. And then I'd work part-time at Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes. This is the biggest croquembouche I've ever made, and I'm in love with it. What has happened? We've made an unbelievable, super tall, huge croquembouche. And I can't wait, most importantly, to eat some of it. So I think we need to get sorted. Is it time to sort?
Oh, I'm nervous.
Okay.
I better get Gryffindor.
And there's no take backsies.
Do we have to do it?
Yes, this is serious, guys.
Serious.
I'll go first, because
We should all bite them at the same time.
I guess
I want that one. I want that
you
one.
want that one.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cream puff cheers.
Gryffindor!
Mine is empty. That was very anticlimactic.
Ravenclaw, though, so
Ravenclaw.
happy with that.
Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff is great, and I'm satisfied. And I'm just sad we're all in different houses.
Oh, that's true.
But we can still be friends. Okay, Brimley. Slytherin! Well, thank you guys for asking me to do this.
We absolutely just have to play that out straight.